Hi everyone, it's Nicole here today with a set of 4 cards using the Spellbinders Small Die of the Month Club dies for May 2018. These are greeting line borders, which are some of my most favorite types of greeting dies, and these are so super versatile. You can use them in lots and lots of ways, and I combined them with the Die Delights Hip Llama. I have been dying to use them with on a card of some sort, and I thought they were so fun and kind of funny and worked great with these May Small Die of the Month Club dies, as well as using them with some kind of clever punny greetings from the Technique Tuesday Lorenzo the Llama stamp set. So kind of combining lots of things here. First, we're going to create some backgrounds. I am only going to be sharing the creation of one of the 4 cards because they are all very much the same. Colors different and the greetings are different, but the design of all 4 cards is exactly the same. What I'm doing is I've got this Simon Says stamp, reverse polka dot background, big background stamp. I love this stamp. And I am stamping this on some smooth white cardstock with Simon Says stamp inks. So the first ink color, or the one I'm showing in the video, is Surf Blue. The other ink colors I'm using are Melon, Duckling, and Velvet Orchid. And those are going to be my 4 colors. So I've got a blue, a yellow, an orange, and a purple. Using the Misty makes it great because if there's any faint areas, I can stamp it more than once. To save some time, I did do my die cutting off camera. Even though this is a very die cutting heavy card, there's very little stamping with the exception of the background and a little bit of the greeting. The llama was die cut from Lawn Fawn Vanilla Bean, Paper Bag, and Black Licorice cardstock. And these are the dies that you die cut and then emboss. Totally easy, but it creates this amazing textured die cut. And what is fantastic is those textured embossed areas on your die cuts really pick up the ink beautifully. So I inked up the llama portion with Antique Linen and Gathered Twigs Distress inks. Then the kind of little nose and mouth area for the llama was die cut from Paper Bag Lawn Fawn cardstock, and the sunglasses and bow tie from Black Licorice. Now from some smooth white cardstock and black cardstock, we are going to die cut the greeting line borders. And I just kind of measured up an inch from the bottom. I used my grid background Spellbinders work surface here basically to line that up. I lined up my cardstock, I used Post-it tape to temporarily adhere my die in place, and then I simply ran it through my Spellbinders Platinum die cutting machine. And then I've got this amazing border. You could die cut these out of any color that you want. You, depending on which greeting you use, I think all of them would fit in a portrait style card too. It would just not be as long of a border. So you can use them either way, and you could even use them where they are more of the focal point of the card than what they are here. I obviously added the llama embellishment, but you definitely could make them the star of the show. Now I die cut mine from white and black because I really wanted the greeting to be white, but I wanted it to show up more. And one of my favorite things to do with dies, and has been for years and years, is to layer and slightly offset the top layer from the bottom layer. It gives it that shadow, which really helps it stand out from the background. While I have both of those borders, I am going to simply grab my Misty, and I'm going to mask off parts of the greetings from the Lorenzo the Llama stamp set from Technique Tuesday so that part of the greeting is stamped in black ink and the other part of the greeting is stamped in a colorful ink. For instance, this is the Surf Blue ink that I used for the background. I'm using Surf Blue ink for the Llama-rific part of the greeting. For the melon background, I'm using melon for part of the greeting. Duckling, same thing. And the purple velvet orchid, same thing. Just to kind of make the stamped part of the greeting a little bit more interesting and to bring a bit of the color from the top of the card to the bottom part of the card, because that's a lot of nice white space, which I really was going for here, but it does add that nice little pop of color. Now, I was loving how this card was coming together. I really love the llama, I love the greeting, but I needed a pop of color so bad. So while I was kind of contemplating what I want to do here, I decided to go ahead and put my card together. And I really wanted to talk about this part of the creation process because while I loved the direction the card was going, I liked the design of the card, I liked the colors, there was something missing, and it was a pop of some sort of color. I didn't really want to add any additional die cuts. I didn't want to add anything else as far as the greeting goes because I've got plenty going on here. And I'm going to pop up the face portion of my llama with some foam adhesive, take a black pen, add detail to the nose. Then we're going to glue the sunglasses in place, again adhered with some foam adhesive. The blanket over the llama adhered with foam adhesive. I think I didn't mention I did ink up the blanket portion with some white pigment ink, and it just picks up that embossed area beautifully. So it gives it a little bit of a two-tone look. The foam adhesive helps give a little dimension to the embellishment, but it's missing something. And luckily, out on my desk, I had some honeybee stamps, candy hearts, which are some of my most favorite embellishments here. They came out a couple months ago or so, but I love them, and I love them on everything. And I started out with really just adhering one to the end of my greeting. And then I thought, well, it'd be kind of fun to adhere maybe a couple more up at the top of the card. I love a pop of red, or I kind of think this is a peachy red, but I love a pop of red on a card. I guess before I get to that, I did glue his bow tie in place, and I'm using glossy accents on the sunglass portion of the glasses to really make them kind of look more like sunglasses. So I started adding a few of these little hearts here, and I'm using some tweezers and I'm adhering them with Ranger Multi-Matte Medium. And as I'm adhering them, I really thought, oh, that's kind of cute. I like how they look in all of those polka dot areas in that stamped background. What would it look like if I went ahead and just filled my background, all those little circles, with hearts? Well, I ended up totally loving it, and I think it transformed the cards completely. It took them from something that I was liking and made it into something that I absolutely loved. The pop of color and the interest that it added to the design just really spoke to me, I guess. So this was maybe a little time consuming simply because all of these little hearts, you have to add a little dot of glue, you have to glue them in place. But for me, it was so worth it because it ended up really creating a card I loved. Another suggestion, if you want to do something similar, stamp all of those little designs, whether it be a heart, a star, whatever it might be. That would probably maybe even be a little quicker and keep your card just a little bit flatter. Now, I even adhered some of them hanging off the edge. Once that glue is completely dry, these are super easy to take your scissors and just trim through. You can trim them up just like you would your paper, and that's going to make the edges of your card nice and uniform and smooth, so nothing is hanging off the edge, and this is going to fit in your envelope perfectly. I'm going to do this for all 4 cards. Then I'm simply going to take my background and adhere it to a white top fold card base. So, so cute. And we're going to want to let the llamas sit and completely dry before we add some highlights to the sunglasses. So there's a look at the dies that I'm using in the card. Here is a look at all 4 finished cards. And we're going to grab a white jelly roll pen and just simply draw in some little highlights. I really recommend doing this after the glossy accents has dried as opposed to before. I sometimes think that the highlights get lost if you apply them to the cardstock and then apply glossy accents over. So I'm a big fan of doing it after the glossy accents has dried. Thanks for joining me today for this set of 4 cards featuring the Spellbinders May 2018 Small Die of the Month Club Kit dies. The supplies I used to create my cards are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Please subscribe for weekly card making and stamping videos. Thank you so much for joining me today, and we'll catch you next time.